Hello, this is tmnt, and welcome back to another breakdown video, and in this one we're going to be looking at the tmnt, the Armageddon game, issue number 6. So yeah, this one's going to be rather interesting in terms of what's going to be happening, and also what the potential future for this universe is, just due to what is going down in this issue. But without further ado, let's actually look at the description for this issue. So the description for this issue goes as follows. The end stage begins. As the Armageddon game reaches its intensious climax, the Rat King must take special care to keep his masterful woven tapestry anarchy from unraveling too quickly, ever proving more and more difficult in the wake of the mistakes made by his penultimate and impatient puppets. No matter chaos is the name of the game, meanwhile the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles have regrouped in the city and are ready to go on the offensive. And this time, they have reinforcements. Are the strength of allies, new and old, be enough to stop Rat King from bringing on the apocalypse, or will they meet their doom in the perilous game? Okay, so yeah, there's not really to really break down too much within this issue. Okay, so first off, I would like to really say something about the characters. Okay, so it says in this issue that I'm going to be having all the characters regroup with new allies, old and new. And I do think it's going to be a really interesting thing to see, just because of all the characters which they need to have here to take on the Terror Trio and Rat King, and seeing who's actually helping the Turtles and who's actually going against the Turtles. I mean, got Old Fob, which is working with the Turtles, and then I got Neutrinos, Nova Posse, Shrebre. They're all working with the Turtles. However, the Utrons and Triceratons, they also are characters which the Turtles need to be working with the Turtles. However, something quite big's happened in the comics, if you've been keeping up with it, and they're actually going after the Turtles and Donatello and Cersei the Janitor. So I will be interested to see where this potentially goes in terms of what could potentially go down with certain characters on who could be helping them. Just because if these characters are already going after Turtles, could maybe that these characters go help Krang and Rat King and stuff like that? I'm not too sure where this could potentially go, but I feel like this could be a really interesting thing to see in terms of what could potentially go down. Now, saying this, I do also think that maybe this whole Armageddon game issue does maybe have way too many characters for this issue than it necessarily needs. Just because we got the Alliance team and all that in that series with all those type of characters, which most likely will be happening in this issue. We've got the Turtles, Nova Posse, Neutrinos, Mutanimals, maybe, there's so many characters, and some of them are brand new ones which don't have any social, sort of emotional connections with. So majority of them we won't really care about too much. And I've got a feeling the majority of them would just be there just for the reason of being there, and just either be in the background doing nothing, or some of them will just be there to ask the questions just to move the story along. Which I wouldn't necessarily be against, but I do think that at the same time, because of how many characters they've got going on within this whole event thing, it may just be, I don't know was the best way of describing it, but maybe it's just wasting time with these characters, and could have potentially used these characters elsewhere in another series or comic story arc, which actually makes them a bit more useful. Because I've got a feeling that after this event, we're not going to be seeing them ever again, and we won't really care about them too much. So, it's really hard to say, but I'm interested to see what they do with all the characters. But at the same time, I do think that they're going to have too many characters to be used. Okay, so the next thing is the fact that Rat King could potentially be bringing the Apocalypse and the Armageddon. And yeah, I'm not too sure what I really think of this, just because at the same time I do think it's going to be really interesting to see the Turtles actually lose within this issue and the Rat King actually winning. But at the same time, with certain characters such as the Phantom Siblings and other characters which could potentially stop all of this, it just made me wonder why they actually haven't done anything yet, because they could have potentially stopped all this way beforehand, and yet they're not doing anything about it. I mean, the Phantom Siblings have more than enough power to actually stop all of this, but yet they're still waiting it out to actually wait to last minute to actually stop him, which I must admit, it does make me wonder about certain characters. If they had the potential to actually do something to stop this, then why haven't they done anything to do it? At the same time, I do also think that the Phantom Siblings should have been a lot more involved within this game to actually have their own little separate teams and stuff like that. But I do think it's going to be really interesting to see, and with Rat King actually bringing the whole apocalypse, I do think it's going to be interesting to see if this does actually come through to light. Maybe the Turtles might have to like time travel back in time and stop him and stuff like that. I feel like there's a lot of potential, like potential here in terms of like what could happen, and like there's also like a lot of speculation around this stuff with, oh yeah, like, I mean, I don't know like what's the best way of saying this, but like, you know, like, oh, well, this character does this thing and this character does that thing, you know, like there's so many possibilities here, and I don't think I have enough time to go through all of it, just because, you know, I'll just be here going, I'll be here all day just going over it, being like, oh yeah, this character could do this, we should lead on to that. So, you know, there's so many possibilities here. Okay, so then for the final thing for this description is the fact that Rat King has to control his territory from basically destroying everything that he's done. Now, there were some things that was revealed in issue number 5 for the covers, which was rather interesting to say the very least. Now, on this cover we do have a ship blowing up the Turtles' lair, and I'm wondering if this is maybe a Neutron or Triceratops ship blowing it up, or could potentially be Baxter Stockman's ship. And with all the stuff we should just say in this issue, saying that all his territory are becoming impatient, are going to be making mistakes, I do wonder like what mistakes they're going to be making, as I feel like maybe Baxter could potentially stop like Noel from working with mutants, and Noel could be destroying Baxter Stockman's relationship, or like, not relationship, his like reputation by showing off that he has something to do with the Noel or like clone turtles. You know, I feel like there's going to be a lot of stuff there that could potentially be happening, and I'm not too sure what other mistakes they could be making. Now, Krang, I feel like it has something to do with the Triceratops, just because he's going to be having a fight with Sherelle in issue number 5, so who knows what could be really happening within this issue, just because I feel like it's going to be interesting to see, and yeah, I'm not too sure what I can really say here, but it's going to be a really interesting issue to say the very least. Okay, so for the covers for this issue, and this is honestly where it gets a lot more interesting in terms of the covers. Okay, so far we've only been given one cover, which is the 110 variant, which is the connecting cover, which we'll be going on to that in a minute because it looks interesting to say the very least. Okay, so the reason why I'm making a big deal about the whole cover thing is that they have not released the cover A or cover B just yet. Now, they released all the covers for for issue number 5, and that reveals some interesting things, as well as like minor or somewhat spoilery stuff within that issue, such as Sherelle going up against Krang, and then also we got the Turtles' lair being blown up. And that was like pretty big like spoilery stuff, I would say, because we had no idea that this stuff would be happening, and now we do, so it'll be interesting to see what happens in that issue. Now, the Armageddon game issue number 7 was also released, and it revealed, also showed off the cover A, as well as the 110 variant. However, for this issue, they've only released the cover 110 variant. Now, I must admit, going off of what happened in the issue number 5 with the covers and being somewhat spoilery, and issue number 7 having a cover which is not anything to do with anything like spoilery whatsoever, I do think that these two covers will have something to do with the actual story and could potentially be somewhat spoilery in some way, shape or form. Just because this issue has been out for quite a while, I want to say about 2-3 months, and yet we've been given no covers, so that is somewhat interesting. Now, I will be very surprised if the covers which I do reveal for these two covers has nothing to do with the actual story and just like throwaway covers just because the artist wanted to do something really cool. I'll be very surprised if this one like that. Okay, so now for the actual cover which I did reveal, which is the 110 variant, we do got Mikey at the top with the neutrinos, and we also got the Nova Posse as well. I must admit, this whole cover, I'm not too sure how I really feel about this one. On the one hand, I do love this artwork, and I love how it's connecting and making a much bigger and beautiful picture, which is just amazing. But I do feel as though that having Mikey at the top, just jumping down, I don't know, it doesn't really feel as though they're giving him much attention for this cover. I would have preferred if he had a bit more of attention, or a bit more focus on his cover, I would say. But overall, I must admit, I do love it. And yeah, God, I just love this so much. I cannot wait to put this all together with the other connecting covers. But yeah, that's going to be it for today, guys. I am rather interested to hear what I say about this in the comment section below, with certain stuff that's going to be happening in this one. Just because there's like so much that could potentially happen, I am really interested to hear your theories about it. But yeah, that's going to be it for today, guys. If you do this one, please share, like, subscribe and all that stuff. Goodbye, yo, bye.